Hello, YouTube. My name is Alan, and it's that time once again. Let's talk metal. Tonight we're going to be talking some new wave of British heavy metal, but we're not going to be talking good new wave of British heavy metal. We're going to talk about some of the bad new wave of British heavy metal. Because you see, it occurred to me a while back that we often really focus on the great bands, and there's a ton of them. And there's a lot of, stories of obscure bands who should have been big. They sounded great, very talented, wrote amazing songs. And there was just some cruel twist of fate that kept them from getting signed or getting noticed. The band fell apart before they could, break big. And that is true for some of those acts. However, there were also a lot of bands back then that just weren't very good in the first place. Songwriting wasn't very strong. Musicianship was pretty amateurish. There's a reason a lot of those bands never got much attention, never were offered a chance to put out a record or given a contract. So I figured for a change of pace, we'll look at a few of the singles that I personally think are really, really bad. Now, I've got to say right away off the bat, this, of course, is subjective. There's going to be somebody out there who is scandalized that I picked one of these singles, and they'll be like, how can you possibly say that's terrible? I love that single. If you like one of these, that's absolutely fine. Good for you. I'm glad you enjoy it. I do think, however, that many heavy metal fans will listen to these and cringe a bit for one reason or another, whether it's, a terrible vocalist or really, poorly done songwriting. I don't think these are for most folks. But if you like them, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing says I have to like the same records as you whatsoever. So I'm not picking on anybody in particular. You're not saying your taste is awful. I'm just saying these singles absolutely don't work for me. And I don't think they would work for the majority of, fans if we had to take a vote someday, which, of course, we're not going to do. Without further ado, let's bring up tonight's first candidate. And this is a band called Mithrandir. Now, I don't own these records because I don't like these records. So I'm going to have to use pictures to show them off. Here's the front and back of the Mithrandir Dreamer of Fortune single. So picture sleeve looks pretty promising. I mean, Mithrandir's a name from Tolkien. It's a Lord of the Rings reference. You've got a flying horse, big sword being held up in the air. Dreamers of Fortune looks the part. You see this? It's like, hey, that could be really good. Well, let's go to the tape and find out what it's like. We'll start with the Dreamers of Fortune side. And as usual, I may skip ahead a little bit, if there's a long intro or some dead space, so you get an idea of what the song is actually like.
Sometimes I see a dreamer with a smile upon his face. He says he's always living each day from day to day. He's searching for his treasure, golden rainbows, and he knows he'll never find it, for it's a dream lost long ago. Though you dreamer with a shining in her eye, she longs to meet an elven queen, but she knows it's all a lie. She wanders in the forest till the night is drawing near, searching for her elven wealth, yet she never cries a tear. Believe the dreams you had before are coming true today. Hope the dreams you had before are coming true today, yeah.
Nah, yeah, it's, like somebody wanted to copy Led Zeppelin, but didn't know how to. But you're thinking to yourself, wait, maybe the flip side's good. Maybe, this is one of those one side's a killer, one side's filler material. Well, let's jump to the other side and check. The flip side is called After Tomorrow. Okay, well, There's kind of a guitar riff line going there that's passable. It sounds paper thin. There's a beat, which also sounds pretty thin. And then there's that vocalist, and oh, my sweet chicken biscuit. I once read a review of this. I think it's in Macmillan's New Wave of British Heavy Metal Encyclopedia that says, somehow this singer literally defies the laws of physics, because if you go so far out of tune, you eventually should come back into tune, even if you're in a different octave or something, and yet they managed never to do it. Yeah, pretty rough. What's even more impressive here is that this is their second 7-inch release. This band did a record prior to this. I have never heard it, but all reports are that it's even worse than this one. This one actually showed improvement over where they started. So stop and contemplate that for a minute. But yeah, they had a 7-inch EP called Magic that came out in 1982. Dreamers of Fortune came out the following year. It's a 7-inch single in 1983. And yeah, they sent it to Krang for a review. You can imagine how well that went. And the band sort of broke up and went their way shortly thereafter, which is probably for the best for everyone involved. Both the Mithrandir records have commanded a big price tag at points in the past. When copies, first sort of got shown and known to collectors in like the early 90s, they were very rare. And again, that picture sleeve looks metal AF. So yeah, these were records once upon a time that people would charge 3-digit price tags for. Over time, more and more unsold copies have turned up, and more people got a chance to hear it and realize that it is not the holy grail that they were hoping it was. There are multiple copies of Dreamers of Fortune on sale for Discogs at the time of this recording, and they're like, $8, $10, $20 maybe at most. So if you really like that kind of quirky amateurish sound and this one's for you, you're in luck. It will be easy to find and it will not cost you a whole lot. So yeah, there's our starting point. We've set the bar kind of low. Let's move on then to our second contestant for the evening. This one is another band that put out 2 7-inch items. The second one is passable. It has some fans. It's one of the songs has gotten covered by some other groups. So the second single did kind of get there. I'm not nuts about it, but at least one of the songs does rock pretty good. But we're not looking at their second item tonight. We're looking at the first one. This comes to us from a group with the bizarre name of the Badger Bell Band. Now, I don't know. I've wasted a lot of brain cells over the past couple of decades trying to figure out why you would name your group the Badger Bell Band. I've never come up with an answer. I don't know if anybody can. So let's just skip it and let's see what this one sounds like. This one came without a picture sleeve, just the label that I showed there on the picture. Side A is called Rock the Vicar, Vicar. Let's see what this sounds like. It's just going to keep doing that for a few minutes, so we're just going to stop right there. Yeah. But wait, there's always the flip side. Maybe it was just being kind of jokey, goofy on one side. What's on the flip side? Well, there's a song called Nothing Left. I have taken all I can take. We're just going to have to stop it right there. I can only assume the band was trying to operate in more like a pub rock kind of vibe. Play something that's got kind of a bouncy beat to it. Some kind of, gruff vocals that say, "Don't mess with me," or I'll, smash a pint glass over your head. Maybe that's what they were trying to do. I don't know. What's even more bizarre about this is the reported release date. If this had come out in like 1977 or 78, and it's kind of like, pre-new wave of British heavy metal, it's, a band just working in the pub scene or something, maybe you kind of would at least understand how this happened, why they were playing that way. But this particular single has a reported release date of 1985. How did this exist in 1985? This makes no sense whatsoever. Again, hurts the brain to try to contemplate. Now, as I mentioned, the band did a second single in 1986. They had shortened the name to Badger, which amazingly is an improvement. And when your band is named Badger, it's not a real good name to begin with. But when it's an improvement over the previous name, it really tells you where you were starting at. Sometimes you just have to take the glasses off and do the double face palm, because nothing at all is working right. Anyway, the Badger single came with a picture sleeve. And as I mentioned before, at least one of the songs on that, called Over the Wall, it is a little more high energy, a little more forceful. It's a decent heavy metal tune. So they started to figure it out. Now, I'm not nuts about the other songs from the Over the Wall release, but it's at least, got one solid track on it. The band has also gotten the full high roller treatment, and I believe this one came out a while back, double checking the date. But yes, High Roller put out, a compilation called The Faceless Gang back in 2012. So if you want to check out more of the Badger/Badger Bell band, just all the Badger you can get this pretty easy on the High Roller reissue. The second single is one that still commands a three-digit price tag. So that one, again, is fairly popular with folks. The Badger Bell Band single can be bought for significantly less. It doesn't show up a lot, which is, again, I'm okay with that. But if you want a copy, you're not going to have to pay anywhere near $100 for it. I don't know why you'd want a copy, but, hey, we all like different things. So that's two down. We have one last one to look at tonight. Our third and last entry is kind of a weird one. This one comes the closest, I think, to getting something to work, but it still has some problems. This is from a band called Slow Train. They made this one single. This one's from 1980. So, hey, prime new wave of British heavy metal date. Comes in a picture sleeve. It's got like a heavy metal genie coming out of a bottle with a guitar rocking out. Kind of a cool idea, not necessarily the best execution. Hey, if you're not good enough to draw faces, you know what a good way around that is? Just make the whole face black. Just fill it in dark and shadowy, and then you don't have to worry about the fact that you can't draw a face. So let's see what Slow Train is working with. One side is called Ronnie. Let's see what Ronnie sounds like. Oh, a spacey keyboard sound. That's always a good start.
Ronnie's a girl who had a dream. Soul City lights that always gleam. She ran away when she was 9. No one cared, they didn't have the time. She's a runaway.
this is not going to get better. That is about as flat and dull and sad of a song as you're gonna find on something that's, more or less a bona fide new wave of British heavy metal single. The flip side for this one does show a little more life. Now, to be fair, they try to redeem themselves a bit. So let's be fair and also check out the flip side. This one's called Just One Way.
Seems as though you've lost all its meaning. You can say that you love, but you're only dreaming. At the end of the day, you find love misleading. You can relate to someone using your physical contact. Share what you like, and even sign a contract.
All right, so that one is not the greatest song ever recorded, but it's actually moving forward at a reasonable pace. There's some heaviness to it. So yeah, the flip side on that one, it's all right. This one doesn't completely crash and burn on both sides of the single. I don't think the B side is enough to compensate for that A side, though. That one is just rough to get through. This is another one, though, that has been very rare for at times. Used to command a huge price tag. I've seen this sell for $350, $500 in the past, where it's got the picture sleeve, looks kind of cool, and I suppose some folks may like the flip side well enough to go after it. Yeah, the price is more reasonable these days. It still is a little expensive for what you get, in my opinion. But at the time of recording, there's 1 or 2 copies on Discogs, and it looks like folks are asking about $150 for it. Would I buy that? Oh, hells no. But is it a lot better than $350? Yeah, but that's a relative scale. So there you have it. 3 new wave of British heavy metal singles that I think most of you are going to agree do not quite pass muster. And again, if somebody really digs one of these, that's absolutely fine. You don't need to get your nose out of joint. I'm not saying your taste in music sucks or anything. There's a lot of stuff I like that people think is absolutely hideous. I have no problem with that. I don't care what you think of my taste in music. You shouldn't worry what I think of yours. But yeah, again, the real impetus for this, it's not to pick on the bands or anything like that. It's just to point out that there were a lot of new wave of British heavy metal records that are not that great musically. That not every one of them is going to be a crucifixion or a Satan or a Diamond Head or an Angel Witch. This is a mistake some people make. They think that every single is some kind of long lost gem, and that every one of these bands was an undiscovered classic. Hopefully, the 3 examples I've pulled out for tonight will lay that misconception to rest. All right, let's wrap this one up. And now let's talk metal in the comments down below. Have I ruined your day? Did I pick on one of your favorite singles? By all means, you can leave a comment and tell me how I'm an idiot and how Mithrandir is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And again, if you dig it, that's absolutely cool. I don't mind a bit. But are there other singles from the new wave of British heavy metal that you think, why didn't he show such and such? There are a lot of other ones I could show. Maybe I'll come back around to this topic one day and make another video feature some more bad ones. There are plenty of them. If you have any in particular, though, you think people should be warned about so that they don't accidentally spend their hard-earned money on something that it probably is not going to work out well for them, leave a comment below. Help folks avoid the buyer's remorse. All right, that's going to do it for this one. Until next time, everybody take care. And as always, keep banging your head. You're going to have to find some better records than the one I showed tonight, though. Find some good records. Bang your head to those. Now you're set.